Evening to everybody in IH 704 land. This is Malcolm and Veronika, as you can see. And rather than trying to provide written feedback on your comments from feedback in class, we thought that it's good to mix things up a little bit. So we thought we'd just put our responses and thoughts on a video for you to look at. There was a lot of feedback in class this time, which I appreciate, because as I said in my note last time, if you don't let us know what's bugging you, we can't respond to it. So I appreciate everybody doing that.
Shall we start with the objectives? So it was mentioned by some of you that we should remind you before starting the session that we should put out again the objectives of the session, which we will do. We will put them on the board before we starting. We remind you of the objectives. But what we also would like to ask you that you check out before every session the syllabus, where we have a summary of the session, and below the summary of the session we will have the objectives. So in doubt, when you prepare for class and you wonder what are actually the key objectives of this session that I prepare for, what are the concepts that we will discuss, you will find them in the syllabus under the number of sessions that we will have.
Yeah, and I think that leads into the whole issue of the concepts of what we're dealing with in the class. And more than one of you had commented that you would like to have the concepts laid out first and then deal with the examples and the practice. And it's important to get across that where we're going with this course is really in developing a flipped classroom. We want to be able to use the class time to apply the concepts. So the concepts are being presented to you in either readings or through the videos that we're recording. And certainly if you feel as though we're not getting at those concepts adequately in the pre-class material, then of course raise that with us. But we will not be presenting the concepts in detail during class. That's the nature of the type of instruction we're using. We will, however, do everything we can on a regular basis at the end of class to make sure that we've summarized, so that we get to the end of the class. You've been through your groups, you've been through various discussions. It may feel a little confusing because you're not used to drawing material out of a small group and then a larger case study. So what we will do is we will present either on slides or in a handout the key points that we were expecting to get through and trying to get through during the class.
And remember, we did this for the first two sessions where we had a slide at the end or slides at the end, and we were kind of drawing the key lessons. There will be some exceptions when we have guest speakers that will present concept in class, but as Malcolm mentioned, this is rather the exception than the rule. So we try to provide you with material before you come to class where you have already a grasp of the basic definitions of the concept, and then we will apply them in exercises in class.
Right. So the next point that I wanted to touch on is that it's obvious that there was some miscommunication over the last class. Some of you definitely didn't take on board that there was a group exercise to be prepared. Some of you did get that information, so I think neither of us are quite sure where the communication broke down, but it clearly did break down for some of you and caused some upset. So we don't want that to occur. I know Veronika said this early in the class that I wasn't there, but remember that the curriculum that was circulated at the beginning is continuously being updated. As we teach, we come across concepts that we think need to be included, other documents that need to be used. So the curriculum is flexible, and the way that you deal with that is through Blackboard. what is on Blackboard is what we will be using. So if there's a discrepancy between what's in Blackboard and what's in your curriculum, Blackboard always takes precedence. And if we update what's going to be dealt with in a particular class, it will always be in the folder on Blackboard under course documents, individual class sessions, and then the class session for the particular day of the class. And I remind you that you should check that by on Friday at least, especially if you're planning on doing the preparation for the class over the weekend. Somebody suggested that we could provide a reminder to people to look at the Blackboard site, and it's a good suggestion, and so we will send out a reminder on Fridays to sort of let people know, check Blackboard, make sure that you're prepared for it.
And we want to also remind you, come prepared in class, not only having read the readings, having watched the videos, make notes, take these notes to class. When you have to prepare a case study, make notes, make also notes of the references that you have checked outside the case study, as Malcolm suggested last class. So I think the notes help you then to have a more structured discussion within your group. So you don't struggle reminding or remembering all what you have read and what you saw in the video, but you actually have your notes and you can compare them with your peers.
And to take the example, I can spell it out a little bit. You've got a case study for next Monday, which is on human resources. The case study is focused on a situation in Canada. So you want to be familiar enough with the situation in Windsor, Ontario, and some of the issues around Canada. But there's a question then that asks you, how would you apply this to Lagos and Bangalore? Well, you need to do at least enough work to understand what are the differences between Windsor, Ontario, and Lagos and Bangalore, because they're on different continents, they're in different health systems, they have different, there are just multiple differences. You don't have to do your days of work, but do enough preparation that you can participate and learn from the course. A case study is not just another reading, it's a part of active learning.
And some of you ask, shall we bring a laptop? Please make that clear in the session that you would like to that we bring a laptop. And I would suggest bring your laptop if you have one. Bring it to class. It can always be helpful. We will have case studies where it's good maybe during your discussion with the group to look something up. So the laptop can be useful in class, and we would encourage you to bring it if you can. It's not a requirement, but it can support you in doing your group work. And there was also a question regarding, can we repeat some of the things that we learned about indicators, that we discussed denominator, numerator, what does it mean? Can we go over this again? We would encourage you obviously to check out again the materials, but if you have specific questions, then come to us. We are there before and after class, or you can come during office hours and make an appointment if you think that requires more and more in-depth discussion by us with you.
There's a huge amount of material to be gotten through in this class, and so it's important that you understand what we've dealt with, but unless it's 90% of the class that hasn't absorbed a concept, I'd rather deal with specifics that maybe one or two of you or a smaller group don't fully grasp in a one-on-one session or through office hours or whatever. That makes more sense.
And just finally, someone mentioned writing. Where can we get help in writing? As you know, there are the writing assistants available to you. So feel free to ask the teaching assistant. We have also put the information on some of the slides that we presented in the beginning of the course, where we reminded you of this writing assistant that is available. Those slides can be found in the first session that we had the introductory session, and there we give you the contact details about writing assistance. So please do so. We encourage you not to wait shortly before the deadline of getting in your paper. Check this out before.
Yeah. So a couple of final issues. One, several of you mentioned the microphones as being distracting. Couldn't agree more. I thought they were wildly distracting. I actually had difficulty focusing on what some of you were saying in the plenary because I was so frustrated with the microphones. We got the technician in after class, and he wasn't himself understanding what was going on. It seems that part of the problem is that the microphones and the whole system is now being managed from within our building, whereas previously they were being managed from elsewhere on campus. So they're struggling. He said he would have it fixed for us by next week. I hope we will. I can't guarantee it, but it's our desire to have it fixed because, yeah, it's really annoying. And then the last point is the quiz. I just want to spell out again, the quiz is something that you can do at any time over the week between September 30th and October the 7th. It is an open book, multiple choice, multiple answers or true-false question quiz. There will be 10 questions. It will only be on materials that we have covered in class, either in lecture or video or in readings, and it will be on Blackboard. It will be made available immediately after class and will cease to be available at 9 o'clock on October the 7th. So, open book, you can do whatever you like, you can interrupt it, look things up, and whatever. So it shouldn't be too difficult. I don't think people have found it too challenging in the past, but it's to make sure that you have followed and are up to speed with where we are in the course. It's not to catch you out, or there's no trick questions, promised you. Other than that, thank you all very much for your feedback.
We are looking forward to the next session.
Indeed. So hope you enjoy seeing our charming faces. Bye.
Bye.